man.
I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration.
I will beat you.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Let's get it all!
Yo, welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And guys, let's get it. It's fight week, UFC 289. You know, I can see where some of you guys probably are like, yeah, this could be a better card. You know, maybe a little more, maybe a little more juice on this card. But, still, I'm going to be talking about a couple fights that I'm really looking forward to this weekend. And you guys can totally go look at those. They'll be up through the week or whatever. But, the one thing I wanted to talk about, the number one thing, probably the number one fight, probably the people's main event, my personal favorite, Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira. And guys, if I'm being honest with y'all, this is probably the first time I've been this torn on who I want to win. Not that I'm saying Charles Oliveira or Beneil Dariush are my favorite fighters or anything, because they're not. But, it is one of the first times that I've really been this torn on a fight. And you guys are talking to a dude that when his two favorite fighters, Rampage Jackson and John Jones, fought, I made my girlfriend skip our freaking high school prom. I think it was junior or senior year. I can't remember. I think it's 2011, so junior year. We skipped prom just to freaking go watch this fight. And she was pissed at me, but it was well worth it. And, this weekend, I'm just sitting here, man, it's tough because both of these guys, the reasons I love these guys so much is, both Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush, throughout their life and their careers, these guys have always been guys that have to go get it. They've never been handed anything. They got to work the hardest route. They got to go the longest route. It's not like they're getting, early title shots because they got a good, mic game or anything. These guys are the most down-to-earth people you'll ever see. They're hard-ass workers. And, we've seen them go through their ups and downs in the UFC, let alone their careers with us. We get to grow with these guys. And clearly Charles Oliveira has, clearly got the spotlight and stuff. He became champion. He prospered through all that, went through that long-ass career, went on one of the craziest win streaks we've ever seen. And then clearly Beneil Dariush at the same time, Beneil Dariush going through it, he's probably the most unlucky fighter that's ever fought in the UFC. If we're talking due to injury and just the timing of things, every time that he's set up to have a huge number one main event or a huge number one, contender fight, he'll either get hurt or his opponent is going to get hurt or something crazy happens, man. And we've seen it happen time after time. Every time he gets a little juice, get a little wave going, he gets thrown right back to the wolves or something, or somebody jumps up in front of him or some crazy, things happen. And this is his chance to actually earn it. And I'm pretty excited for him. And I think that's why I'm torn, because I think my heart wants Beneil Dariush, but I also think on paper, if we're just talking, take your bias away, take your emotions away, I'm probably picking Charles Oliveira. I think he's got more to win, more tools to win against freaking Beneil Dariush than Beneil does against Charles. But, with that being said, I think this fight's going to be pretty crazy. I mean, honestly, guys, I don't think we're going to see much ground game at all unless it's, somebody gets rocked or something and then it goes down to the ground. But I think it's going to be pretty much a big stand-up fight because I think Charles Oliveira, as great as a freaking submission artist he is, I think he understands that this boy Beneil Dariush got some crazy, crazy ground game. This man's takedown defense is fucking ridiculous. His flexibility is ridiculous. This dude, I feel like his number one thing for me that's going to be a real problem for Charles, but still Charles is just as good, if not better than Beneil. I just think it's going to be this is going to be what's going to get fun, is these 50-50 transitions, during the takedown. If one doesn't work and one gets stuffed or, maybe Charles gets a back or something, but Beneil does these weird, just these weird, he'll roll through something or, he'll do some crazy shit to get Charles, maybe a little bit off him. And that's what Beneil's really good at, man. Those 50-50, that usually the transitions, it's up in the air, who just wants it more, who's going to get the top ground, who's going to get the dominant position. Beneil Dariush is crazy, and he showed that off, and I'm really happy he got to step up I'm happy he decided to and let, Matthias Gamrot get a chance at him so he could prove hey, man, you guys just don't you guys think wrestling's going to happen? Hell no. I'm the man. Islam's going to out wrestle me? No. Charles Oliveira's going to out wrestle me? No. Good luck, guys. I'm going to stuff your shit all day and I'm going to be hitting you while you're fucking doing this shit. So, and we've seen him in some crazy leg locks, crazy things. He's just flexible, dude. I'm telling you, this dude is crazy. And I think Charles, as good as he is submission, the only time we've ever seen Beneil Dariush submitted was against Michael Chiesa. And if we're being honest about Michael Chiesa, guys, this guy, I know he's fighting at 170 now, but this dude used to fight at 155, like most of you know. And he is just fucking massive. Like, it was a lot like, not to bring up Matthias Gamrot again, but when he fought Jalen Turner this past, whatever, a couple months ago, like, Jalen Turner's so fucking massive. This dude's huge. Like, that's the same thing with Michael Chiesa. Like, it's not just losing to a 155er. Like, this dude's a 170, and he struggles making 170. Like, he probably walks around 205 all the time. Like, Michael Chiesa's a huge dude. So it's not just like anybody submitted him. And Charles Oliveira, if you think he's going to outstrengthen freaking or outpower Beneil Dariush like Michael Chiesa can, like, I think you guys are going to be shocked for real. So as much as I'm saying that, I do think Charles Oliveira's got the way better stand-up than Beneil Dariush. And I know Beneil's had some crazy knockouts like Drakkar Klose and stuff, one of the craziest comebacks we've ever seen. And then I think he literally just came, I think the fight after he came out with this crazy spinning back fist. So, I mean, I know the dude can, he's got some power and stuff, and the dude looks like he can throw bricks, but I mean, he's very hittable, and if we're being honest here, he doesn't have the greatest stand-up. So, but at the same time, Charles is pretty hittable too. So, but this is the thing, it's tough. I really think Charles is going to win this, but Beneil is just that man. I don't know what it is. Beneil, it's just he's done all this work. We've seen Charles Oliveira do it. We've seen one of the craziest runs ever. We've seen Charles go from 145, like skin and bones. Everybody was like, oh man, this guy's a quitter. Like we saw against Paul Felder and like that weird neck thing that happened against Max Holloway. Like most people are like, okay, we've seen this guy quit in fights. We've seen him like just, completely just want to get out of there. And then he just turns it around, becomes this fucking man, grows into his body and just starts loving his stand up and trusting himself and goes on the craziest runs we've ever seen. And within like a 13-month span, like I think people are really sleeping on this. Like I think people don't think Charles has a chance against Islam. Like, if we're being real here, if you want to count the Tony fight, but even if you don't, like, if you count the Tony fight, like, within 13 months, he fought Tony, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje, and got absolutely rocked in at least the last 3 fights and still came back and won. And then within, 4 or 5 months later, he tries to fight Islam, and I just think he was a little drained. Even though we saw him winning and coming back and finishing these dudes, he was getting absolutely fucking rocked and took some huge hits against Dustin Poirier, took some huge hits against Michael Chandler, took some huge hits against Justin Gaethje. Like, I'm telling you, even Tony Ferguson gave him a little something, but he's still the man. So, like, as much as that's crazy and everything, he did have a good first round against Islam, and I think he could do it again. But I really, really want to see how Beneil does this weekend with this ground game, because if it's even half as nice as I think it is, I don't think Charles is going to submit him unless he rocks him. I think that's like kind of the way Islam rocked Charles and submitted him. If that's the case, yeah, anybody could get submitted. But I do think that this is probably going to be more of a stand-up fight. And I could be fucking wrong here, but I think Charles is going to fucking really impress with his stand-up this week. And this is the tough thing too, though. If we're being honest with Beneil Dariush, as much as I want him to win and everything, there is a world where we're sitting here saying, okay, here, maybe that Tony Ferguson win, everybody beat Tony Ferguson. It's not really Tony Ferguson anymore. We could say that. And then if you want to look, he had a freaking split decision against Diego Ferreira just 3 fights ago, and then luckily had that crazy fight coming back and then with Tony, and it kind of just washed that away. And he did look good against Matthias Gamrot, but at the same time, freaking Jalen Turner just made Matthias Gamrot look kind of average, but also Jalen Turner's like a foot and a half taller than him. So there are things out there that we're like, oh, maybe Beneil just had a lucky run with the way he was at, like beating a Drew Dober when Drew Dober wasn't really ready there. Maybe beating that Drakkar Klose isn't that good. Diego Ferreira isn't that nice. There is a world where we're sitting here like, oh, wow, yeah, Charles should have won this all day. But I don't know what it is. I think I'm just a believer in Beneil. And for all this unluck that he's had and everything that he's just gone through and everything he's been doing, I just really want to see him win as much as I love Charles. And I know everybody's out here loving Charles, but clearly, I'm probably going to bet on Charles if I'm going to be real with you guys, but I think Beneil might just pull it out. But I'm really, really excited, and I'll probably change my mind 15 times going into this fight. But I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a very, very impressive fight, and I hope you guys are watching for real. And if you guys aren't excited for it, why the fuck are you watching this, So, as always, your boy, Steven Moustaris, MMA Short Show. Let's go, baby.